thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. And if you thought it was going to rain today, you have no idea the ship that Mayor McCormick runs in Woodbridge. We spoke yesterday. He said, Steve, do not worry. Carol and I have this under control. There'll be no rain. Well done. So we're here today to celebrate in the shadow of our first project here in Woodbridge. That was an enormous success and couldn't have been done without the Woodbridge team that you see in front of you here. And we call this one Phase 2. And it's actually kind of fun that we're right in the shadow of that one. But I wanted to just make a couple of comments since we're all in the same industry. So New Jersey, as we know, is really not an easy place to do business or to expand an economy. It's a regulation-heavy state, and the NIMBYs always seem to control the process. And I want to make a few points just because that's not how it works here in Woodbridge. So 2 facts for you to understand and consider. One, as my boy Steve Beta tells me, the vacancy rate in the state of New Jersey across the state is 2% for industrial warehouse distribution. 2%. New Jersey, the New York and New Jersey ports are the largest ports in the country. Those 2 things don't add up. We're not creating enough new distribution space. And what's that causing? Well, it's causing a choke point at the port, right? We all worry about supply. We've tried to buy a sofa or a refrigerator. You're told, oh, the supply chain. No one even knows what that means. Well, part of what it means is we don't have enough facilities like the one we're building here today. In addition, we've seen rent growth that's unprecedented over the last few years. Mayor, I don't even want to tell you the rents were being quoted for here as compared to that building a few years ago. That contributes to inflation, and that also contributes to slowing down the growth and the supply chain. Lastly, every company in America has been charged with coming up with a green initiative. Huge parts of those green initiatives are onshoring and nearshoring to try and get their products, their distribution, and their assembly closer to points and populations of distribution. Forcing them out into Pennsylvania puts more trucks on the road for longer periods of time and causes greater expenses for the people that are trying to distribute. So from an environmental standpoint, a supply chain standpoint, and an inflationary standpoint, choking New Jersey's economy from this type of development does nothing to help us. But in Woodbridge, when we came to this street on New Brunswick Avenue and we met with the Woodbridge team, and they had other plans for this. This was in a redevelopment zone that wasn't really taking root, I think, as well as the municipality had hoped. They jumped on board and said, we'll amend the redevelopment plan. We want this. We want the jobs. We want the ratables. We want to be part of the international economy here in Woodbridge. And they fixed it, and we built Phase 1. And when we came back and we said, great news, Mayor, Carol, and Marta, we have a Phase 2, they said, we'll fix it for you there too. And we moved through the process as cleanly and as quickly as the state statutes actually permit. And it goes without saying, I think I could say this pretty clearly, that Woodbridge is the smoothest town to do business in, and I think that's a big round of applause. So before I introduce the mayor, I just wanted to do a couple of quick introductions. We're not going to introduce everybody who worked on the project because we invariably leave somebody out, but the most important guy in the room really is our friend Jason from Webster Bank. Jason's supplying the money to keep this all going. And of course, the 2 mockers at the top of the food chain who provide incredible foresight and wisdom and strength and really push all of us forward. Mark Lebovitz from Romark and Eric Whitmont from Woodmont Properties. Neither one of them likes to speak, and I don't give them a chance, so you rarely get to hear from them, but they really are the engines behind us. Since I'm a lawyer, I also wanted to thank John Galluccio and Jen Mazaway, our legal team, who put this all together. And as well as the engineers and architects that were behind us all the way. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, our WIP team. WIP stands for Woodmont Industrial Properties. It's one of our divisions at the company. And we have a very strong one. Anthony Amadeo, who runs the department. And Steve Beta, who thinks he runs the department, and Morgan, who actually runs the department. So thank you for from the very beginning of finding the site to pushing it through contract and approvals. That team does a really great job guiding us and leading us, and we're very, very appreciative. So without any further ado, the guy we've been bragging on here for a while wants to say a few words. So Mayor McCormick.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. It's great to be here. I just want to say that Steve Santola is kind of my idol because he was a mayor as I am, and he left that field of business and established a very successful career in economic development with the great company Woodmont. So I figure if Steve can do that and be successful, imagine what I could do. Woodmont's a terrific company in town. We were just here 2 years and 6 days ago, October 21st of 2020, right next door, as Steve said, signing the steel for that great building to be up, and it's already there. It's got a great tenant, Bentley Labs, and it's a wonderful company, and they're paying us a lot of money in taxes, so we absolutely love the project. We love Woodmont. They're doing a big project. You're doing a big project in Metro Park, which we are so looking forward to, with the whole concept of assisted living, continuum of care, senior housing, memory component, all different things. It's going to be absolutely terrific. But what I love about Woodmont is that you give back, and you give back to our community. We have a program called Tooling Around the Town. It started way back in 1999. Carol was on the council. I was the town CFO back then. And we started it. It was called, what was it called? Oh, Christmas in April. Christmas in April. And every last Saturday in April, we compiled a list of people who needed work in their house, usually widows whose husbands passed away. And of course, they couldn't do the work, they couldn't pay for the work. So we got companies to come out and sponsor homes and bring talented people out and do landscaping and painting and carpentry and plumbing and electric. It's a phenomenal program. It's still going strong. Last year, Woodmont had probably one of the two worst houses we could have given them. It was absolutely terrible. And they just came in and they attacked it, and this lovely lady has so much of a better quality of life because of the effort that Woodmont put in. They also contribute to our backpack drives and probably several other things I can't even remember right now. But I just want to say how much we are happy to be working with Woodmont. This project is about half the size of that project. Apparently, there's a market for these kind of smaller warehouses. You'll probably fill it up if you don't have somebody already, and we're very much looking forward to it. I appreciate the comments, but I don't do anything on these projects. I do the groundbreakings, which I'm here now. I'll be back when you finish it for the ribbon cutting, and I don't do anything in between, nothing, unless Carol or Marta or Heather have an issue. So I want to thank.
The pilot checks.
I collect the pilot checks, and I make sure I endorse them, and sometimes I bring them to the bank myself. But Carol Ehrlich has, as I said, she was on the council in the 90s. When I was working for the town, we became great friends. When I was treasurer in Trenton, Carol was my chief of staff, so we came back here, ran for office, and got it, so she left the council to become the chief of staff. So the number one title I wanted, the most important thing I thought back then in 2006 was economic development. So you put your best person on your most important topic, and that is Carol doing that as the head of the redevelopment agency. Marta Lefsky I worked with for 10 years, way back then in the 90s, and has been the planning director here for nearly 30 years, and she oversees the building department and the zoning department, and everything gets done. As I just was talking to a couple of people, you know, inspections and permits, and we just do everything we can to make it as easy as possible to do business in Woodbridge Township. Heather Lamott is here somewhere in the back. She's Carol's assistant. I want to thank her too. But Carol, Marta, and Heather just are the backbone of economic development. I get all the credit. I'm on TV, I'm on radio, I'm on in the newspapers. I'm standing here today, but I have nothing to do with all this great stuff that goes on, and these people do. So I want to thank them. Tommy Kelly, our building inspector, Tony Tortorello, our housing, our zoning officer. We have Mitch Fishman here as our key inspector. We also have Holly Church Doyle, who is the new executive director of the Woodbridge Chamber of Commerce. If you have a town where the mayor and council and township get along with the Chamber of Commerce, that's a good town for economic development and for business. So we have a lot of people here that make this work. and I'm very proud of them. At this point, I'd like to ask Carol if she would like to say a few words.
Speaking after John, I have to stand on my tippy toes or figure out how to work this. So I love doing projects with Woodmont. I am so happy that we're doing this one, and then we're going to be doing another one in Metro Park. Thank you very much. They are so cooperative, and they really, to quote John, they get it. They get what you have to do and how to do it. So it makes the job that Marta and I and Heather and Mitch is here, that we have to do so very, very easy. Your project today is, as was mentioned before, the size of this distribution center is so very, very important. So many of the larger distribution centers, they might bring in more pilot money to us, but as far as economics and practicality, the larger ones, sometimes you've got to divide it up, and they're harder to work with. They need a lot more parking. This is something that a company can come here, they can have everything they need in one spot, and they are they're local. They probably will be servicing our area. So it's wonderful, wonderful that you are bringing this here. Another remarkable thing is, you can see, this is the groundbreaking. They are planning on being done by possibly the spring. So that is one of the fastest projects that we have ever had here. So we look forward to it. We look forward to working with you. And Marta and I will be, and Mitch will be coming out to visit you to make sure that everything's going all right and to see if you need our help with anything else. Thank you so much.
You can't litter in front of the mayor. Carol mentioned the schedule, Howard, so now you're in trouble. So that brings me to one last point, because a lot goes on to get here, but as you can see looking around, a lot happens on the site. So I want to just do a quick round of applause, if we could, for Howard Irwin and Keith as a project manager, and Sean Mulhall for all the work they're doing out here, and everybody else you see in a hat and a vest. We have some really outstanding food, as we always do here at Woodmont. I'm just going to ask Mark and Eric to come up so we can get a quick shot with the mayor. We thank everybody for coming. We'll see you when we sign the beam.
Yeah,
we'll do it again in the spring, so we'll see you all back in the spring. Thanks again.